Sabalang, excellent looking ball. And there's the goal for FC Dallas, and it's Jose Martinez. They'll bring something positive back to Dallas, and it's 3-1. Set piece opportunity. You said coming on might be too little, too late. Don't tell them that. Smart little move. All you want to do is inject some life into this squad. 10-yard ball, top of the 18, whip it to the back post, let one of the big boys go and get it. Stick this in the danger area and let your guys go attacking.
And by the way, I love your podcast. I was listening. And by the way, I love your podcast. I was listening.
Hey, Jose.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Well, welcome to Afterburn Soccer Show on this Monday. It's good to see you. It's good to be here. It's good for those folks who are joining us here live as we go live and talk and break down the latest FC Dallas and North Texas Soccer Club results. I'm Nathan Hill. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill on Twitter. And there's my buddy Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona.
What's up?
You just saw the only kind of bright spot from this weekend as Jose Martinez got a goal. Which was at least a little consolation in that disappointment in New York City. And you also heard from Javier Cano, head coach of North Texas, who claims to listen to our podcast. So shout out to Javi.
So
and
it's Cano.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been butchering his last name for.
Well, that's all right. Well, and he said Chico. You know, he called you Chico, so I think he's picking up that you are definitely thinking a lot about North Texas, following along MLS Next Pro, and so that's exciting. So hope to get you all to talk sometime in one of those pre-game, post-game kinds of environments. But yeah, this was not a fun weekend for FC Dallas and for North Texas Soccer Club, right, Jose?
It was not. It was a rough week for us fans. You got the disappointing loss by North Texas.
And really, full 90 minutes, right? I mean, it was like at least they could have gotten it to a 0-0 draw, a disappointing day, but.
Well, no, it looked like it was going to go to penalty kicks. Really, I mean that's where that game was going. And then at the very death, you had that one goal, and kudos to Real Monarchs who played. Honestly, the way you can beat North Texas is the same way you can beat FC Dallas. It's not a coincidence. You low block, mid low block, and then force them to break down. And North Texas really missed hope, even though he did come in late in the game. Not having him for the full duration, I mean, it makes it even tougher for them to break down teams like that. Plus, this year's attack hasn't really gotten going. That doesn't help, to have all your strikers are
right.
There's not a hot hand in there. So yeah, it's a tough defeat. It's a team that they should have been able to defeat, but at the same time, it's just a reminder that the right strategy and the team sticks to it and the players perform, they get a victory that goes to Real Monarchs, who executed the right game plan to defeat North Texas.
I raised to Cano, to Javi before that match about the youth of Real Salt Lake, of Real Monarchs, I should say. And he was clear that youth is not in his opinion, is not a drawback.
No.
And case in point, in this kind of match, and he pointed out too that Real's Monarchs, I think their right back played for the first team last year, had a significant minutes. So you just can't, just because you see someone's young, you can't necessarily assume that you can take advantage of them. And I think North Texas looked kind of just young in this match. They just looked raw. And if there's a disappointment for me on this team so far, it has been in the attack. At the very least, hey, the defense has been a work in progress. It was last year. But at least you had Mulatto, Hope, Kamungo. You had these guys, who could score some goals. That hasn't happened yet, and I'm not sure what's going on with that just yet.
Yeah, I mean, they just haven't with Volato and Kamungo both spending more time with the Sunni team and whatnot. It's going to take time for the new attackers to get on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty young too out there. You know, they had Ursula out there. They had what was that? The Molina out there. They had like 3 teenagers themselves. I mean, North Texas isn't much older than RSL. Just like I said, Monarchs executed their plan to perfection. That's something we want to start seeing from young teams. And like I said, kudos to them. That was the exact way when North Texas played in USL League One. All the teams, every team that played North Texas, they all tried to low block them every single time because they knew that was a struggle, or even way back then. So it just carried on, and in all honesty, in MLS Next Pro, it's the talent level. There's a disparity depending on what the team's that your opponent's going to put out there. Are they going to put out a strong squad? Are they going to put out an academy heavy squad? You don't know until you play them, and therefore you don't know if they're going to basically play the right game plan against you. And Real Monarchs, they did play the right game plan, bunker and counter, and it worked. It worked at the end. It was staggered.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, Real Monarchs played that quintessential away match that a soccer team wants to play, which is, especially against an opponent that's more talented, is that you frustrate them, and then take that one chance, even if it's late. You take that one chance, you score, and you come away with something big. I mean, I think they would have been happy with the point. They would have been happy regardless of what happened with the penalty shootout, I think. But for them to come away with 3 points, tough result for North Texas on Friday night.
Yeah, it is a tough result, but results ahead of them in their division didn't go too badly against them. Also, missing tie. I want to say Minnesota United lost again. So as far as the division standings, I think they only lost a point against the division leaders in Austin. So I mean, a bad result, but not horrible. It's so early in the season that North Texas has time to correct. And mind you, they've had slow starts in the past. They've had starts in the past where they've started out struggling really bad in one area. From one year, they were at the midway point, had the worst defense in the league, or they're just look like a middling team. This team is a team that has so much talent available to it that as long as Coach Kano he keeps going, it's just a matter of time before he finds the right combination of players that work. The right rotation. Because let's face it, he is rotating in a lot of players. So it's not just starting those best 11. It's finding a rotation that works, game in, game out. So it's gonna take time for that to happen. And come mid-season, FC Dallas has through college and all that. There's plenty of ways for this team to reinforce if they can't ride it by mid-season. They can always go acquire talent that's readily available to them through the whole academy and everything, college and all that. Which is a huge strength for this team, is how it's normally riding itself on the struggle. I mean, they're struggling. It's not horrible, but it's been rough.
Well, that's in the course of the season, of a soccer season, and I see those fans who look like they're a little more green, and I was in that point once where you realize that you watch soccer, even if your team is really good, they're going to drop points. They're going to lose this stunner, this disappointment at home from time to time. You can't freak out. You just understand the cruelty of the game. And I know Estevez has talked about, Nico has talked about this, Javi's talked about this, that you look at the whole game and you think, wow, one team played better, one team deserved something, and yet the goal goes in for the other team, and that's just soccer, and it's the wonder and the beauty of it, but and the cruelty of it all at once.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's like Real Monarchs executing the game plan. It's you're gonna let them control, you're gonna defend like hell, and they're only gonna make one or two mistakes. And you have to punish them when that happens. And I hate to be on the opposite side of that, but let's face it, North Texas does have 2 wins on the road, so I think that balances it out. Like I said, when I see one of my teams lose at home, um, I'd like to see them go out on the road and make up for that. So I'm disappointed, but not so much that I'm not a panic fan. I know North Texas is right. That should be as early as next match.
Mm-hmm. And they will. North Texas will travel to Colorado, play the Rapids 2, which is always a tough venue to play at up there, the altitude. But it'll be a good opportunity for the team to bounce back against one of the worst teams, I think, in Next Pro, right? I mean, would you say that? Would you that Rapids, the Rapids 2?
Rapids have been one of the strongest teams so far this season.
Okay, well, never mind.
They are. I believe they are actually top of the mountain division right now, and I believe I didn't look at the results, but I think they drew their match this weekend.
All right. Well.
Right now.
All right. Well, look,
yeah.
I'm gonna Google it too while we're.
Yeah. Yes, it was a draw against St. Louis, and St. Louis got the 2 points. So let me double check those standings, but I do believe in right now.
Yeah, they're ranked number 2. That's right. So they have 13 points. North Texas has 9 points, so not an astronomical difference, but Colorado Rapids 2 have 2.6 points per game at this point compared to North Texas's 1.5. So 4 wins and only 1 tie. So undefeated. Okay, never mind.
Undefeated. Yeah, and second place by a point behind Austin. So yeah, a very, very tough opponent. They've been loading down players from this new team, and they're getting the results. They have some good young talent available to that team. So I don't think anyone's surprised that they're off to a good start.
Well, that'll make for a really interesting matchup because it will be a chance for North Texas to sort of, again, grow, bounce back. That's what we want this team to do. And I think it's what this team is capable of doing. But let's shift over to the senior team, to FC Dallas, who, well, not a great result. 3-1 loss against New York City FC. But, we picked some draws and wins in our match predictions, although I've put a note in that I could feel like this game could. It's always one of those things when you play an Eastern Conference team, especially in a weird environment. And there is no weirder environment than at New York City FC in that postage stamp field where you're not going to play in another scenario like it. It's just such a strange, small field, and they can punish you. And in normal environments, your goalkeeper kicks the ball, clears the ball out, and there's still 10 yards or so before the opponent goalkeeper can make a play on the ball, but not up there. It's just such a strange field. And it even seems like, on the wings, like there's just more space for the balls to stretch out, for players to stretch out things a little bit. So New York City definitely took advantage of that. They had their home field advantage at work. They took their chances. The first 45 minutes were hardly the worst soccer ever played by FC Dallas. I think I would agree with Estevez and company about their assessment of that. They were losing at the end of that, but it wasn't a disaster. But that second half was not great. Team definitely missed Velasco, definitely missed Jesus starting. It's just, going back to what we were talking about North Texas, like this is one of those games, you're like, we're not going to play New York City FC again. Don't stress too much about it. It stunk. You lost, move on, right? Let's not read too much into this. Or should we?
Yeah, no, it's it's like you said, an Eastern Conference opponent, not someone you're familiar with, and those results are going to be all over the map. You get a good performance against Miami, and then you come back and put a sticker up against New York City FC. And also on top of that, all the results in the West Conference pretty much went
Right.
in as Dallas' favor, that they didn't lose ground to anybody. They're still in fourth place. I mean, if you picked a week to lose, this was the right week, because if you look at the standings and they remain pretty much unchanged. And now the team's got to right the ship and try to get back. You know, losses and bad results, they can pile up on you out of nowhere. So you don't want that. You don't want the Inter Miami thing going on right now, where they're going to big matches and are now have loss after loss piling up. So I'm hoping that Dallas and all will get healthy and start getting results. But like you said, the field, you can't prepare for it. You think you can, but you can't.
Yeah. And a team who gets to practice there and play there every, all week long, and or at least gets to simulate it. But and the other thing was, I think we saw in this one, Jose, Giovan Jesus come down to earth a little bit. We saw that a reminder that this guy he's young.
He's a young player.
And it's almost like after this match, Tomasi might get the start this weekend. I mean, even if that's a little harsh, but it's just a reminder that Jesus has work to do. I mean, there were our other contributor, he couldn't be on tonight, Tommy LaBeouf. In fact, I think I took a screenshot of his let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, here it is. Of his screenshot of Jesus falling asleep while watching the game on the second goal. Not a great showing for the youngster. Not a great show.
It was bound to happen. I mean, he's been on a run of good form, and yeah, he got beat there. I mean, it's clear as daylight. No excuse for it. But at the same time, it was Coach Nico was riding the hot hand, and he was hot. And it's just a reminder that the job isn't necessarily his yet, and Tomasi is about to get just clear out of the picture. So I think it'll come down to I want to say it's probably going to be Tomasi getting a start. But at the same time, we're not watching practice, so it's really going to be whichever one of the two stands out in practice and shows that they're he'll be given a chance to rebound. But yes, if that opens the door again for Tomasi, it's going to be an ongoing. It's going to be an ongoing battle all year, and I'm here for it.
Well, team definitely missed Jesus coming off of international play where he scored a tying goal, equalizing goal against Mexico. It
was a lucky goal.
A lucky goal,
He had
the defender hadn't cleared it.
He just happened to be standing there.
Right.
I'm just joking.
It's ridiculous.
No, it was a great goal. And I know as a FCB fan and a Ferrer fan, glad to see it. Glad to see it. It's getting that's confidence. You want to see your player playing with confidence, both for the club and the country, and that's exciting. Hopefully we'll see Ferrer back to full strength this next match, because Jesus Jimenez kind of had a stinker. I mean, this is his chance to, I think we were all generally excited to see what he had to offer.
Mm-hmm. And
at some point, we all said, "Whoa, this is not the Jimenez we've seen in flashes." He's fared well in those short appearances he's made, but in this game, with the spotlight on, wow, that was not what we were hoping to see.
Right. Well, and I think that does open the door to this conversation about this rumor that Tom Bogert posted today in the MLS. And Tom Bogert now moving from MLS Soccer to the Athletic, posting the juicy rumors and stuff that Los Angeles Galaxy made a big bid for Paul Arriola, which makes sense in some ways because of where the Galaxy have been. Although, Galaxy didn't they beat Austin last weekend?
Yes. They had they had the 2-0 win, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, gosh, tough for Austin fans. But anyway, Galaxy have not necessarily been great this season, so they would probably want a player of the quality of Arriola. So an interesting thing, although I don't know what the Galaxy would offer FC Dallas other than some funny money to spend, but it does just raise those kinds of questions about what this team, what chips that FC Dallas still has left to play before the end of the transfer window today, which is running out quickly, or just thinking about the summer to improve this team. And that's what I thought too. I thought Jimenez was an interesting addition, a veteran addition, a help to this team, but we're still sort of waiting for him to kind of click with this squad.
Yeah, and back to the rumor. Forget the rumor, man. I hope FC Dallas does not make this trade. I don't really care what you think about Arriola right now. We don't have anyone to replace him. If Arriola leaves, O'Brien is your default starter.
Not Kamungo? You wouldn't go with Kamungo?
I think O'Brien gets first shot. I think Kamungo becomes your obviously your backup. But the point is if you don't think Kamungo is ready to challenge O'Brien for the starting spot if Arriola leaves, don't make that trade, man. I know that a lot of people, especially the U.S. men's national team, on Twitter, they crap all over Arriola just as badly as it people have said Jesus. So, but here's the thing: his leadership and the energy he brings on the field, that's priceless, man. And LAG, unless we get a player in return or have someone lined up to come in July, this is essentially a move that would weaken FC Dallas and strengthen the Galaxy. So it has to be something pretty damn juicy for FC Dallas to take, because otherwise, and this is not. We sold Grisso early in the season bad, but it's along those lines. It's one of those lines that there's a fine line in this league between contenders and pretenders. And I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, everyone can make playoffs." Some teams have higher expectations than just making playoffs, and FC Dallas should be one of those teams. It should be a team that should be playing for a home match and not just being happy they made the playoffs. And honestly, losing Arriola right now, it's not good. Yeah. I don't think there's any positives in that. The only way I would be okay with it is if it's I don't know, a clause where he gets to finish out. He gets to stay on until FC Dallas finds a replacement, which would be in July. I'd be okay with that, but other than that, God, I hope they don't make it. Not that I don't have faith in O'Brien and Kamungo. Look at it. We're missing Velasco right now. So we're missing Velasco.
Yeah.
We don't know. Sometimes players get small injuries and they linger, and then next thing you know, they're out a month, 2 months. So trading Arriola now means O'Brien and Kamungo are your starters. Or, default starters, very likely you'd have to move Leggett or something like that to play wing to cover those absences. It would really hurt this team. So,
no, I'm with you. I don't think part of me, the football manager nerd that I am, would love to just throw Kamungo out and use this year to kind of get him vetted for the next year, if they feel that highly about him. But that's just tough to do as a team that expects to contend for a playoff spot. I think a lot of pressure on Kamungo, even though I think we should be high about him and his future. But O'Brien, I think we're sort of ready to move on. I think most FC Dallas fans are ready to move on from, even though he probably has a role to play this year. And apparently was decent against New York City. He was active. He played a role. It's just so yeah. I think it's
So
it would be unless they're offering an insane amount of money, and considering where LAG is they have some transfer embargoes this summer because of the way they treated the league rules.
yeah.
Unless they're just giving us an offer we can't refuse, it's hard to see this deal happening.
And in all honesty, there's a second thing to consider is, did LAG initiate this, or did FC Dallas initiate it? I mean, we're still waiting for FC Dallas to replace Matt Hedges, to bring in that replacement center back, and that hasn't happened. And you have to wonder if a trade like this, that would probably come with a lot of gam or tam. I mean, you've got to figure around $2 million. I mean, that's they're talking record deal. That's what it would be. It would be over $2 million in gam or tam. That's something you can use to go out and get that big time center back that we're missing right now. Probably from within the league, of course. But I don't think any FC fan would be against that if that was the reason the trade would be made. But we don't know. Like I said, it's at the end of the trade window. So even if that's the game plan, we would still have to wait till July to find a replacement of any kind at any position for Arriola. So color me concerned.
Okay. I mean, I think it's that valuation for teams. It's sort of like, what are we feeling about our squad this year? And would a move like this, even if it dampens our objectives this year, but prepares us for next year, opens the door. I'm okay with teams making those decisions because, fans, we don't like it, but yet sometimes it's the reality. And I think FC Dallas has started the year decently, but not as good as many of us hoped we would start. So that's why I'm like, hey, if we take the short-term hit, but knowing that long-term we're going to use that money to really strengthen the squad, I could go along with it, but yeah, I just don't see the replacement. I think it would be, especially, we're hoping if Velasco gets healthy quick. What if Velasco's hurt a little bit longer? You definitely need Arriola. I just don't know how you get by in this team and get some results, grind out results without him. He's such a competitor. And of course, let's be clear. I think this was Matt Doyle made a comment that has Arriola definitely started the year as strong. I don't know. He's definitely, so it could be a situation where you sell high. I don't know. It's just.
I also want to point out that both Comungo and Obrian were two players that came in out of shape to start the preseason. They both finished dead last in theirs. I think Obrian was with the senior team at the time. He finished last in the conditioning drills, and Comungo finished last in the North Texas conditioning drills. So, and that was preseason. So these are two players that have been playing catch up this whole time. So Obrian is only in the past week or two, and Comungo have both started to show what we expect to see from them from day one. And that's a sign that they're finally getting into form, into shape. And it could be that we still haven't even seen, we've all been down on Obrian, but he's been out of shape, trying to get in form. And if he's in form, in the past, he's done good things for this team. So it could be that that's the coming out of shape set him back. But he may actually be better. We just don't know. The coaches will know. And if this trade goes through, that means that the coaches are confident that Comungo and Obrian have routed into form and are now ready to step up their game.
Okay.
And Arriola is what now? He's how old is he now? Is he the 3-0 yet?
Good question.
Because
28 years old. No, I think he's
in his prime. So he's in his prime. So really, if he was, I thought he was 28, 29. But I'm like, if he was hitting the 3-0, then yeah, of course you take the trade. But at 28, he's right now, unless, like I said, unless they think O'Brien or Kamungo are ready to step in as starters, there's no reason to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy who loves trades. I love when teams will and deal. That's just not. I mean, go down the list of players on your roster, and there's some players that I don't think this team should be dealing. You know, Ferreira,
Mm-hmm.
Arriola, Velasco, Paxton. You know, it's a certain players that you're like, you'd be okay with them dealing, say, Martinez or Ibeaga, or but you wouldn't want them to deal Siki or Nikosi. You know, either of those guys, for example, you don't want to see them go.
Yeah.
There's some players, but I would hope not. I would really be in touch with it. Who knows? I haven't seen the deal. It could be a deal so good they can't say no to.
Right, and I mean that's always that's because I think at some point the way Paz is playing, he's going to get an offer from somewhere in Europe. I mean, just because his EU passport, I think it's just a matter of time before that. And it's one thing if it's like, oh, we're going to lowball FC Dallas and maybe think about, but it's another thing if they give this really generous offer and you have to really think like, well, we can probably find another goalkeeper domestically that can at least, fill in, but
we already have that goalkeeper.
we already have that guy, really. Yeah, so it's just the hard part for, I'm sure being behind the scenes is when you get these offers of like, you have to do that evaluation of like, yeah, does this open the door for us to be even more successful in year 2, 3, 4, rather than just now?
It would also be a harsh reminder that this is 17 out of 5, 6 your national.
Right.
And the team has done that before, 7 players to within the league. Cervania just got, traded just this year. I mean, you got, other players, Hollingshead, Acosta, that this team
Right.
has traded within the league. People don't realize that a selling team sells internationally and nationally. And this could just be a harsh reminder that Dallas is a true selling team.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not expecting. I keep refreshing Twitter to see if there's anything interesting, but
And we wouldn't know. I mean, I think even when these deals get done, it may still take the paperwork. It may all be filed, but it may still take a couple days, couple weeks before everything is finalized. It's just was it done in time.
right.
So
Good
we
point.
won't really officially know. I mean, unless it collapsed, and they say, "Oh, it collapsed." I'm getting worried that nothing. We're not hearing anything. That's what's telling you that that at least LA Galaxy are serious,
Mm.
and if they're serious, I mean, I think LA Galaxy is smart to listen.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to watch. I did see also that follow-up tweet that LA was looking at, that the Galaxy were then looking at Julian Gressel.
Yeah, they were looking at multiple options.
So we'll see what happens and what unfolds. But for now, Arriola is an FC Dallas player. We're hoping Velasco gets healthy and the team gets back on track as they look ahead to their next match. They're gonna play against Minnesota on the road. Always a tough place to play this Sunday evening. But Minnesota's a team that certainly points can be had against. I think as good as they can be, they've been somewhat vulnerable this year. It'll be interesting to see.
And I want to agree with you, but Dallas has, they have a history of struggling against Minnesota United because they play that mental block.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be pain. It's going to be a painful game, and it's going to be a low-scoring, boring affair. And they gotta get the defense right. They gotta get the pairing right because you're looking at another 1-0 game, and question is, will it be 1-0 Minnesota or 1-0 FC Dallas? It's going to be that kind of thing. It's going to be not an enjoyable game to watch unless we score early. But even then, if for some reason FC Dallas scores early, then it's we're going to be, chewing our nails the rest of the match. I expect a very close, grueling match that, like I said, will come down to one goal, one mistake, and hopefully it's that.
Well, that game looks like it's on Sunday, and I think Colorado, North Texas plays earlier in the day against Colorado that day, so it'll be an eventful Sunday for us.
Yes, but you got to watch out for tomorrow. Minnesota United is playing the U.S. Open Cup, so the question is who will play in that match. Will it be a rotated squad or whatnot? They're playing Detroit. They're playing in Michigan. Detroit City. It's USL Championship team, and a team that would relish a victory over MLS. So they're going to put out a top team against Minnesota United. And like I said, the question is how serious will Minnesota United take that match will affect what happens when they play FC Dallas and Sunday.
Good stuff. Thanks for highlighting that, because that will dictate kind of how Minnesota decides to rotate, the kind of priority they put on that Open Cup match. And so it could mean some good positive things for FC Dallas, but I think FC Dallas is going to need to regroup after Saturday and just sort of figure things out. And hopefully have a healthy Velasco, healthy and rested Jesus and Paxton. So it should be a much stronger performance from the squad. But there are questions. It's going to be a long season. They're going to have to grind some things out, Yeah.
Why is Houston maybe good question?
Well, so meanwhile, Austin FC are a terrible team this year, evidently. Been just mesmerized by the results. They haven't changed coaches. They haven't. Well, I saw Matt Doyle from MajorLeagueSoccer.com mention that Claudio Reyna's talent evaluation hasn't necessarily been that great, so that they've signed designated players that are not very worthy of that status. Meanwhile, Houston goes out and gets Ben Olsen, and all you need to know about Ben Olsen from his years at DC United, some of which I was living in DC, was that the guy just is a player's coach. He just wants to grind out results and get results out of the squad he has, because I don't think he ever had. One or two seasons they had Wayne Rooney under him, I think, but they never had this amazing talent. So DC United always had to work with what they had. So that kind of fits Houston's profile at the moment, and they're getting results. Now, interestingly enough, FC Dallas beat Inter Miami at Inter Miami, and Houston just barely beat Inter Miami in Houston. So I think that's a helpful measurement. But credit to Houston being relevant.
Let me add to that, though. Inter Miami got reinforcements after they played.
That's right.
Dallas. They did that transfer for that.
Kamal Miller.
Yep, and then they also signed a defensive midfielder from Ecuador, and plugged them both into the starting lineup against Houston. I mean, I know the Ecuadorian guy had basically not even trained with the team. The guy literally met the team in Houston and just slotted into the starting lineup. So I think a stronger Miami team than the one we played, simply because they're reinforcing them. They had injuries, and they've gone out and tried to address them. And I think Houston's just lucky that with two starters you're gonna have issues. They're not. It's not seamless. And I'm not giving Houston credit for that.
Okay.
I don't think Houston's all that good. I think you are right. That also knows how to get results. But Houston, as far as I'm concerned, they're one of those teams that are playing just to get into the playoffs. Right? And until I see otherwise, I think right now, like you said, Ellison may be the right coach. The guy that's going to ground out points, and maybe they'll perform. Maybe they'll be not quite at the same level, but maybe they'll be the Austin FC team this year that the stats all don't add up to results. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which
You're
is, come
right.
on, let's face it. Let's face it. Austin's just course corrected, you know. And it is hard to
Right.
get
They
these right.
overperformed last year. That's what the stats said. You know, and credit to them. I mean, they took advantage. They had a great chemistry last year. They tried to bolster the squad this year, but like Zardes has been terrible for them. I mean, I just think sometimes this is what Major League Soccer is. You swing and you miss on these players, even within the league, right?
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's in this league, you can't make a lateral move. You can't say, oh, we're going to replace a player with a like for like player. This league is improving every year. I mean, I don't care what everybody else is. This league as a whole improves every year, and while it may be very little each time, maybe it's half steps or baby steps instead of full steps in growth in the league. It's enough that you, as a team, cannot stay static and roll out the same team or a similar team to the one you rolled out before. You have to keep up with the times and add better talent to your team.
Mm-hmm.
Or a winning squad to go into a losing squad that fast. That's why, you know, as Dallas went out, got Jimenez, got Giovanni Jesus, and that was an effort to add quality to the squad. You know, you're only going to make a couple additions; they better be good. So, yeah, I don't think anyone was surprised with Austin's additions. And like I said, like you said, they didn't really improve that team. You know, you just can't stay still. You can't stay still this week.
You can't stay still, right? So, and I think the good news is that FC Dallas, I believe, has at least an international roster spot open, and Arriola can be bought down as a DP, and so there's a potential for FC Dallas to go out this summer and get a big splash, someone who could really help this team. And I think the nice thing is that the team could, you know, it's depending on where they are. If they're really clicking and you can't find that person that will help them take the next step, then you wait, or, you know, get that U22 player that, you know, you want to develop along and for the future. But on the other hand, hey, you can make some moves. You can go out and get the guy who you think can really help this team take that next step. And I like being in that position rather than just rebuilding. And I think Austin is going to come this summer. They're going to be having to think hard about moving some pieces and making room, you know, to almost like, and that's not a great place to be after such a strong finish last year.
You know, I also want to say that there's no one player fix for this team to be like a true title contender. This team needs about 3 to 4 players to be added. And that is, you still haven't replaced Matt Hedges, so there's hole one, number one. And then you've got the number 6 spot. I think if you could find a better player than what we have, there's hole number 2. And Jimenez, you know, if he's going to play like that, it starts, then, you know, then he hasn't solved the issue of that secondary striker. So it's too early, of course. I'm not giving up, and I'm just saying it's too early. But that's an issue. And then, of course, the backup winger is an issue with waiting for O'Brien to come on to solidify. That's that first guy off the bench in the rotation. So really, those are four issues that have yet to be addressed. And 2 of them, the you know, number 2 forward and the backup wing, can probably be fixed in house, but you still haven't solved the number 6. You still haven't solved the center back.
Yeah.
So this team can make moves. I don't know. I don't know that getting rid of Arriola would probably just add another headache on top of that.
Yeah. It would add another need, another hole to fill. I mean, if you had an idea where to find that person, fine. But yeah, I think we've revisited that already. But well, let's leave it there for tonight. It was a good conversation, Jose. It's always good to chat with you.
Thanks.
And shout out to Coach Javier Cano for listening in, and for everybody who listens in. We do get a regular viewership. It's nice to see folks subscribing, even if they don't join us live, to know that they appreciate this conversation about FC Dallas North Texas Soccer Club. Ooh, a lot of syllables.
I forgot to check who's North Texas playing.
Rapids, remember?
Rapids. Yeah, we were just talking about Rapids. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm excited for that match. I actually like to see North Texas play against the better teams, because it could be an issue of getting up for the team sometimes. You know, some teams do it, some teams need motivation, and I'm just excited to see the young players grow up too. Mm-hmm. Said very impressed with their stuff, and waiting to see which players are going to be the next Colombo Morocco that jump from this team to the senior team. So I'm hoping for a good, strong showing by North Texas.
I'm looking forward to that too. All right, well, let's leave it there. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have an enjoyable evening. Of course, subscribe and follow us on afterburn.soccer. The latest blog posts, updates, and content about the teams. Of course, to subscribe to our podcast wherever you find podcasts. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you for tuning in.